that you have subscribed. If you
Subscription
haven't,
is important.
please do subscribe. Please do subscribe because now we hold hot topics.
Guys, you need to subscribe because we always emphasize about the and the relevance. Quality and the relevance of the content that we're putting out there. We never compromise on that. So we hope that you do subscribe.
Before we jump into the topic of stockfels, right? Let's first start by defining what stockfels are to an individual, right?
Okay.
So now, what do you think stockfels are to you?
I think basically what comes to mind when you're saying Stokvel is that people coming together for a single purpose, which is savings. So we can say, let's say me and you, we came together and the main objective for this gathering is that we want to save. So it can be, I'm going to be getting money this term, and then the next term you're going to be getting money, depending on the structure of which we planned for payments.
I mean, we're living in a global world, right?
True.
So now, do you think stockfel would be a South African term, or do you think it's an international term?
I think it's international term. It's just that we have different terms, or we coin it differently from one place to another. But for me, definitely a Stokvel is a global term. What do you think?
Okay. As far as stockfel, what I think is that people are actually having money. They're coming together for a common goal, right? So now what they do is that they come together and they actually have money. They put in money into a direct account in order for them to actually have an income or have their money come back to them, right? So now what would happen is that five people would come together, right? For example, right? I'm not saying that it's a minimum of 5 minutes people or maximum of five people. So now five people would gather, right? So now when these five people gather, they actually take out an amount of money from their pockets and give it to someone, right? So now from these people, there would be five people, and then from these people, person number one would get 4,000 from the four people that are left.
So
right?
in this case, they're each taking out $1,000.
Yes, they're each taking out $1,000.
Okay.
So now, as the society goes through, the second person, when it's the time for the second person to actually get their
Okay.
money, these four people actually give their money. I'm afraid to use this one, right? But now you get the point.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah. So now that's what a stockfel is to me. If I had to define it via giving an example.
Okay. So just to put it out there, he's against Stokvels, and I am for, but not all Stokvel, to make it clear. I'm for Stokvel, and I'll emphasize why I am for, particularly why I am for it in this way. So let's hear, why are you against Stokvel? Yes, you had to start so that I can come back hard.
You're putting me on the spotlight, man. You're putting me on the spotlight. Okay, let me just rest a bit. Yeah, Stockfel. The reason that I'm against Stockfel, I'd rather go to a networking session than actually having a Stockfel. Let's take, for example, the one that I gave at first, right? A Stockfel would be right, or it would be a good way to go with it if you do not have the discipline of actually managing your funds, right?
So you're ready on my, so that means
So
it's
now-
1 point for me. You just said that it's
So now listen, right? So now what we're saying is that if you do not have the discipline to manage your money, then a stockfel would be good for you, right? But now personally, right? Now we're talking on a personal base. I'm against stockfels personally, right? Yeah, because I have money management skills, right? So now if I'm going to actually take out 1,000 Rand and give it to everybody, right? I might as well actually take this 4,000 Rand and actually place it into my bank account. In that way, I'm not entrusting in these these four people to actually give me money every month, right? So now it becomes a problem there whereby there's going to be problems with money. I mean, we all know that sometimes in a group there's always that one person that always has problems with
or in
money,
this
right?
case, that 4.
Yeah. So now my solution, right? My solution in order to actually have a group whereby we can all actually make money, right? Is that we need to have a networking organization or networking part whereby we all come together and we speak on a way forward, right? So now this thing of one person actually taking out money and giving it to another and then another giving it to another, it doesn't really make sense whereby you can actually take this 4,000 and place it into a bank, right? I know sometimes it might be an accountability thing that if there's more people within the society, you have that thing inside of you that always says, okay, every month I need to take out money because I don't want to disappoint the guys. But now, if you do not have your self-discipline, right, I feel like self-discipline is the main thing that makes me actually disagree with Stokvels.
True.
What are you?
Because at the end of the day, I'd like to agree with you on that point. Because if we're looking at it in terms of control, if you have your money, your 4,000 that you saved, and you using it for a particular reason, you know that you have full control over it. However, with the Stokvel now, what you trust is that you're trusting the systems in place. And I mean now, not that we're against it. I mean, we know that it's trending. We've got so many messages that people are pushing particular Stokvels whereby control systems are not in place. So now you're hoping or crossing fingers that it is going to come through to you.
For your hard-earned cash, man. This is your hard-earned cash and you're crossing fingers with it.
It's because this is one of the topics that I was talking to with somebody who texted me, what do you think about this? And I told them, and they actually got the money because it's a trend that just started. So they actually referenced us from one of the videos that we talked about whereby we were talking about trend, starting a trend or actually hopping onto a trend.
Yeah.
So she was talking about basically she just hopped onto this trend whereby it's a Stokvel on the WhatsApp group. So I don't want to actually promote it or get too deep into it, but it actually paid off. So the question was rather, she did know that it's a risk and she was joining it while it's still early. Hence the returns came through. But then the question will be how sustainable is the Stokvel?
Can you actually build a lifestyle around it?
True.
Can you actually go to a credit facility and show them that I have the Stokvel, man? I'm
Now
gonna get
let
this
me
money.
not support you too much because I can see now you're getting too many ideas. So I
So
was
now, what's your point of view as far as these Stokvels?
Stokvel because I'm a very strategic, very strategic person. I see Stokvel as credit.
Okay.
It's money that I didn't have. So now if I was to start a Stokvel group and I knew that I have a particular idea that I want to set in motion, I start that Stokvel group and I'd make sure that I'm the first person or the second person who will actually be earning money. So now what that does is that I've got a credit pool. I've got money that I can use that I didn't have at all. So what happens is that I can take this money that I got from the Stokvel, I invest it in that particular business whereby I did my research, I know my return on investment, and it is actually going to work out. Because we know that with business, there's always risk, but now I did my risk management system. So now through that, I know that I've got money that I didn't have, and I can actually place it and implement this idea to become that powerful dream that I couldn't find before.
I agree with that part. I agree with that part. But now there's a part whereby I don't agree with, right?
Okay.
Say for instance that you take all this money. We all know that business is a risk, right?
True.
In your mind,
True.
the next 10 months, man,
True.
I'd be a millionaire. I'd be close to being a millionaire, right? But now once you take this money there, you see that they are limited, there are hidden costs, right? So now what if you already took that money that belongs to someone and actually invested in something that was an idea, but now that money doesn't actually come back as a return? So now how do you actually go back to these guys and tell them that, hey man, I don't have your money anymore? Because now you know with these stock fails, man, anything could happen, man.
You can't mess around. But then now, as I did say, with research, with education, we always emphasize, and there's one of our videos whereby we talked about learning. It's never stopping. You learn the nature of your business, and then you learn the nature of the Stokvel. If I know that the business or the idea that I'll be implementing, the return actually comes in this format, and it's actually compatible with the Stokvel, it can work out. The risk management through that, it's not as much as whereby maybe I'll be earning quarterly or the money will be coming through monthly. And then the Stokvel is every week. It won't work that way. Or it's every day whereby I have to be giving people money. So as we always emphasize on the importance of learning and equipping yourself, because now you don't want to take a jump, a leap of faith with your eyes closed and hoping that is going to come through, and then now I won't be actually paying the other people within the Stokvel.
So now this is how I would use this actually credit facility and eliminate the Stokvel, right? You know that when I actually go and use my credit card, right?
True.
I actually have a period whereby it doesn't have any interest, right? Thereafter, I can actually pay it bit by bit, right? So now what happens with the Stokvel most of the time, what happens? If it's on a weekly basis, the following week, you actually have to actually have that money to pay it back, right? So now with my credit facility, I know that for the next, say, 2 months, the money that I had won't be actually charged on interest, and I actually pay on a monthly base, right? Which is a small amount compared to the one on the Stokvel.
True. We always emphasize, now I'm going for the kill now because I can see I'm about to get you down. I'm about to get you down. We're always emphasizing about your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Stokvel is a society. What if we could create a network whereby we've got like-minded people and we help each other grow? So now, through us meeting, engaging, let's say the Stokvel, we're getting paid once a month. We have people within the Stokvel that are like-minded and we can help each other grow through vision. That will actually increase your network drastically so. Do you agree or disagree with that?
If you can rewind back to what I said when we opened, right? I said that a Stokvel, I would actually change a Stokvel and put a networking session, right? This is where it comes in, right? When you have a networking session, this is where we all come together and actually speak about how we actually move forward. But now with the Stokvel is that everybody is actually taking out money. It's only money based that, okay, I'm going to give you 1,000 bucks and that's it, right? That's what happens with most of our Stokvels. Comment below if I'm right. If I'm wrong, please do tell me that I'm wrong, right? But now with the Stokvels that I know of, when we come together, it's only based on money, right? I'm going to give you my 1,000 and that's it, right? But now with networking sessions, what happens is that we actually come together and we speak of a way forward.
No, but then don't forget, I'm trying to speak about the pros. So now that Stokvel provided a platform for that networking session. Hence, I'm speaking about the pros of the Stokvel. However, now if, as you did say, I fully agree with you, if the culture was not necessarily a building one, was rather more of socialite, obviously it is going to go through that socialite route. But now if the basis of that Stokvel is for actually us to grow, and as I did say that we like-minded people, we all have a thirst or desire to actually have mega success, it is going to actually provide that platform whereby we can grow.
Okay, so now do we change Stokvels into networking sessions?
Don't play games with me.
Do we change Stokvels into networking sessions? Right? That's the question that I leave with you guys. Please
But
do.
then before we even close it,
Okay.
I'd like to emphasize the importance of systems that are in place, guys, because you have Stokvels that have different formations. When we're looking at our formations, you can even just take the soccer analogy or 4-4-2. I mean, formation now is applied everywhere. Tennis, golf, it's everywhere, man. So now, specifically this one of the one that's used on the social media, you ask yourself, are there systems in place that are going to ensure that the next person will pay?
Is there a face that you can actually see that this is the person that owns this particular Stokvel, or this person who actually runs the Stokvel? Because now what happens?
Accountability and responsibility.
Because now what happens most of the time is that these Stokvels are actually created, and then there's no person that is actually accountable to anything that might happen to with your money, right? You know that, okay, Neo just joined a Stokvel since he's for Stokvels. So now Neo,
No,
since
for
Neo
particular
joined since
reason,
Neo
man.
joined Stokvels, right? He has actually gotten his money. So now I'm actually going to invest in Stokvels again, right? Only to find out that that was the peak of the trend, right? And you getting into that, you hop in the trend while it's at the peak.
And guys, don't forget, we're not trying to discredit anything. We're just putting our views out there. I would like to invest. I'm not saying something is not sustainable. I'm not trying to tell you what is sustainable for you. We all have, I think sustainable varies from one person to another.
It's a relative term.
It's very relative. So now we're just trying to place our cards open and then tell you what our views are for this topic.
I mean, if you think this is sustainable for you, I mean, hop in the trend, man. But if it's not sustainable for you, or if you're on the, is it sustainable? I mean,
But
it's
one
up
thing
to
I'd
you.
like to emphasize that follow your instinct as well. You see, when it comes to instinct, it's something that's deep within. And most of the time you get to situations and then your instinct was like, nah, or it was like, yeah. And then you don't listen to it. After something happens, you're like, I should have listened to it. So go for it. And when I'm saying go for it, I'm saying go for listening to your instinct.
I thought you were saying go for networking sessions, unlike Stockfels. Comment below with your thoughts about Stockfels. What do you think about Stockfels? Do you like Stockfels?
Are you against them? If we start one, will you join now?
Please do comment below.
And don't forget to subscribe.